Hello and welcome to the first video of many to explain the process of creating our action platformer in Unity. So yeah, I'm just going to be doing a series of videos to just sort of showcase the progression of the game or progression of things that are going into the game. They might be in separate projects themselves instead of in one like the actual finished game will be. But it's more so just to show this is the process of how you make each part of the game, and then they all get compiled into the game itself. So first off, we start with new, and I'll just call it test platformer 3 because I only have 2 for different tests. Now first bit you want to do is you want to select 2D here, so Unity creates everything in 2D mode, which means it will render materials as sprites by default, and it will have the camera mode in 2D by default. And it's just more so to make sure all the defaults are set right so you don't have to keep changing things. Now we're in Unity and we want to create, right click and create new folder and call it graphics, and I'm going to drag in to that a ground vector, a floating ground platform, and a platform rock. Here we are in Unity, and again you can switch to 3D mode if you want, which you can use to add layering and just a bit of depth and other things. Right, we're going to go on to the asset store, and we are going to import this one. Standard assets 1.14 is what Unity provides themselves, and it has a bunch of defaults for 3D and 2D games, and we're going to be using it for basic scripts, and we are going to import all of it just so I have more time to talk and explain the process before we actually get there, of the fact we're doing this because Unity's rigid body system and 2D colliders, the way they work and the scripting works for 2D platformers and movement in them is exactly the same, and there's only one way to do it, and they provide you with that. And then they also provide a way to customize it either in the code, and they also have it set to have things in the inspector to change, so for those that are new to coding like myself. So that's what we're going to use that as a basis for our platforming character, at least to start with, for heavily modifying it and things like that over time and adding in other elements. And they also contain other scripts that are just, this is the only way you can do this, so here is the script for it, because there's no point us making you write it out from scratch when it's there in the software. Yeah, and the basis for this video is going to be getting our character in, default asset character, and getting our platforms in, making sure you can walk on them and showing the layering of it, and then getting the camera to follow our character. So once this is done, because Unity likes to take its time to import, we will be getting on and just dragging the correct asset in to the scene, and then I'll be showing you what happens when you drag our piece of graphics in, and showing you what happens. And there's going to be a lot of these videos just to explain each process a bit more in depth, because I find it's a bit more clear than, say, doing screenshots and typing words, just to see the actual process as it unfolds. So yeah, that is now loaded in. We want to go back to our scene, and we want to go to standard assets, 2D, prefabs, and here is Unity's character. It's that little robot guy thing. We see the box that is literally what the camera is seeing, and we want to drag in our ground vector here. And if we drag the what dude down now, just to put him down there, get close to it. If we play the game in demo mode, you'll see he just falls through. And the reason we do that is because the game is not reading it that there is a physical item there. So what we want to do, we want to create a empty child for the ground vector. It's just a lot easier to edit assets once they are attached as a child, and we want to create a box collider. And a box collider is what Unity uses to say this is a square or rectangular object, and the edges of it this is what you can and can't touch. This is an item that is here now. We want to just move that there, and then he will walk on it and jump on it. But as you probably noticed, the ground there is sort of a bit off, and the reason it's like that is because of this here, the sprite renderer and the sorting layers. And we want to add one. We want to add three. We want to add ground. And we want to add player. And we want to add another one called background. And the way the system works is whatever is on top here is what is rendered first. So you want the thing that's furthermost in the back, or you want behind things first, and we want the player in between the background and the ground. If we go back to the player, we need to add onto his sprite renderer that he is a player. And the ground vector needs to be ground. And if we play it now, means we have ground here, and he will walk almost technically behind the ground, but it looks a lot better than walking on it, and he'll fall down there. We're going to add in this now as well, platform rock, and sorting layer we want it as a background. So now the player will just walk here. Yeah. Thing as well, we can control D to duplicate the ground vector and create a copy of it, which means if we want to move, we can move this over to that right there. Zoom in, see there's a little bit of a right there, doesn't have to be exact. This is just for demo purposes. And it is an older asset that I'm using instead of the new one by mistake. I'm going to put this one this side. And now the character can technically walk. And the new version of this asset, which should be on the blog at some point, the edge that is grey here has been removed, so it blends in a lot easier. But now you realise that it's not following, so we need to go into assets, and standard assets, and 2D, and scripts. And there's this one here called camera follow. And this will mean that the camera follows, but we don't want to pair it straight to the character. What you want to do here is create a game object. So we want to create a child that is next to that, and we're going to put the game object slightly above the character. And on the main camera, we want to drag this script over here. don't know why it's doing this. Change that over. 2D. That'll be Y. I put the wrong one. We want the 2D. Yeah, there we go. Target, and we want the game object to be the target. So now technically what this does is the camera is going to follow the empty game object. If we follow, so there we go. But for our game we don't want this to go like this. It's dizzying and all like that. And we want to put the game object up slightly. So for 1, let's put on 2. There. Good. Now what we want to do is we want to make this camera bigger for our style of game, because it is an action platformer. So let's put it on 10. Now we want to put the game object. I think it's following that. Say 4 minutes instead. And play again, and you see how that goes. Yeah, it's just about right. But now what we want to do, to make the camera start there, we want to copy these and unpause it. And so now we can have the default position of the camera be there without it doing that janky movement that it's been doing. Once the number has settled from the camera moving, you then just copy that, start unplaying the game, and start doing that. Now when we play, it's going to be just there. It's going to follow. And it's not going to do that. And this look ahead factor, we don't want that much. So we're going to put it to like 0.2. Because now we'll stay in the center of the screen. You can't even set to 0, I think. Put the dampening to 0.2. And that'll make it a bit more. It's no longer that sort of we are looking ahead style. It's now just dead on. We are the center. That. So yeah, that works. So yeah, that should be 0.2. That can be 0 dampening. There we go. So now we have a camera that follows us. And now we want to put in a floating platform for this last bit. And we want the sprite renderer as ground because it's the same layer as that. And I want to shrink this down. Zoom in just because it's easy to do that. We are going to put this ground in the middle here. There we go. And we'll do the same what we did before, which is game object, create empty child. But we need to add 3 for platforms. And the do the same for each one: a physics, 2D, a box collider. Just a little bit more in this time, so there's room for the others. And then we'll make it a bit thicker, and then just bring it down so it's kind of level. And that'll do for now, seeing this is just a rough version. It's 15 minutes, okay, that's fine. And a new physics 2D box collider. Bring that over here. And you'll understand what we're doing 3 in a second. Create a third box collider here. Go over to this side. If we play, we show that we can not jump underneath it because it's saying that there is an object there, but we can jump on top and the camera's going to follow us. There is an issue with this though, which is why we do 3, which is if you jump onto the side of one of these platforms and walk into it in the air, you get stuck like that and it will stay there until either let go of the key that is making it walk into it, which is like the right arrow key, or D on our keyboard. If I let go, it drops. And we don't want him sticking like that. So, the way to fix this is going to be to create a physics material. Component. I will find it in. Because this thing is running. Physics material 2D, and we will just call this platform edge, and we want to make the friction 0, and bounciness is also going to stay 0. And then we go to the ones that are on the edges here, and we're going to, where it says material, we are going to drag this onto it. And what is it? It's that the friction in the physics is basically keeping the character stuck when he runs against it. And the reason you don't apply it to this middle one is if you take the friction away from it, it makes the character run faster and a bit more slippery, and it just sort of makes it feel like whenever they're on a platform they're not the same as they are on the ground. And you want the game to feel a certain way, so you just do it to just the edges. And now wanted to jump onto the edge here, it's not going to get stuck at all. It's going to just slide off. If you want to jump onto the platform and miss it, you're just going to slide down. So yeah, and that's how far we are. And next time I will probably be adding our own original sprites into Unity. And sorry for like any misconsistencies of like not finding certain things, but yeah. So this is literally the first part. There's going to be many showing like the different things. So at the moment we have a character that can walk on platforms with different layers and a camera that follows. It's simple stuff, but it's the base of the game when it's there. So I will see you in a future breakdown.